I'm Chris Locke, and this is my wife Amy, and my children. So McKay, Isabel, Hunter, and Mackenzie. And so in May of 2015, I was diagnosed with stage 4 Naseo-Pharyngeal cancer, which is located in our sinuses. And so that was an eye-opener. I mean, for me, it was a scary time. My brother-in-law, he had died from brain cancer almost exactly a year from my diagnosis. And up to this point, the kids, they knew cancer because my mom had died from breast cancer and ovarian cancer. And her mom died from breast cancer as well. So it's a very scary time. I would say like that first 2 weeks, it was like we were in a free-for-all, almost like we're just flying as normal life goes, and our wings were clipped and we're just falling straight down. And it was tough. We didn't know what to do. We saw so many doctors.
I think it was surprising because he'd been snoring really bad to the point that he was literally waking up the whole family in the house. And so I said, you've got to go in and get looked at. Something's going on. That's not normal to snore that loud. So first they found polyps in his sinuses. Was that February when we did they did a scan and found the polyps. We had to wait a little bit longer before they were able to do the surgery to remove the polyps. So the surgery was end of April. I'm out waiting in the waiting room. It's taking a long time. They said it would be a short procedure. The doctor came out and he said, so I found something. I said, okay, what does that mean? What did you find? And he said, well, I don't know what it is. He said, I tried to take a sample for a biopsy and it just wouldn't stop bleeding. So it took me a long time to get it back under control. He said, but I'm not super worried about it. I said, okay, no big deal. So when it was time for him to go in for his follow-up, I was busy doing things, and when they called the scheduler, I said, should I come in with him? And they said, oh no, it'll be fine. It's just a follow-up. So when he went in, and then they told him he was by himself, I felt terrible when he found out that he had cancer. He was alone. And once we found out what it was, I spent so much time on the internet studying everything I could. And not blogs, nothing like that, actual studies like from doctors and from universities to understand what our options were and what the best path for treatment would be for him. So that when we went in to talk with the oncologist, we kind of had an idea of what would be the next steps and what would be the best options for him. It was really aggressive treatment. So they gave us 2 weeks basically to get things kind of settled. They let him know that he probably wouldn't be able to work at that point because the treatments would be so intense. He had to have a feeding tube put in. Yeah. And a PICC line because he would eventually lose his ability to be able to eat or swallow. We were hoping he wouldn't, but it did happen. Yeah.
Baby food.
Yeah, formula. That's what he got to eat for almost 9 months. So he lost, how much weight did Dad lose, guys?
Almost 100.
Yeah. So it was rough, and he had treatment daily. So Monday through Friday, we went to radiation. And Wednesdays after radiation, we went over to chemotherapy, and chemotherapy took hours. So we just hang out there for 6 hours. Yeah. While he had his chemo. So we did that for 3 months. Mm-hmm. And then they did gamma knife to try to get the portion that was right next to his brain. The doctor was trying really hard to keep the radiation away from his brain. We did the gamma knife procedure. He had a little break, and then he started chemotherapy again, and that was 24-hour day therapy. So he would wear his chemo round the clock for a full week, and then 3 weeks off to recover. We did 3 rounds of that, and that was hell. I've never seen him so sick. It was brutal.
With each treatment, it just got worse and worse. So like that first treatment of that chemo, I mean, it was like I was puking my guts out like 20, 30 times a day.
That was rough.
And that got really rough. And after that third treatment of that chemo, the pain was so bad. I mean, I was just, I had to actually not be in bed, but sleep on a recliner chair because I couldn't lay flat or else I wouldn't be able to breathe. And so it got to the point where we had to.
They weren't sure if he was going to make it through the treatment. When we started the treatment, he said, "I'm going to take you to the brink of death and hopefully bring you back from it." They had us call Mackenzie down in Argentina because they weren't sure he was going to make it so that he could say goodbye to her.
Yeah, there's a time where it felt like I was on my deathbed. I was just asking God to just take me because it was so painful. So after I was told I was cancer-free, it was about 2 years that I was cancer-free. And then in about November, December of 2017, I started to have some symptoms. So my symptoms, I started to have a lot of memory issues here at home, a little bit at work, but really a lot here at home. Like Amy could tell me something, and if it was more than 2 things, I'd have to write it down or type it in my phone. But it wasn't just memory, it was starting to get very irritable, cranky towards Amy and the kids, which was not right. And then eventually it started to affect my job. And when that happened, then we notified my doctors, and then we went through a scan, and then they looked at it and analyzed it.
They said they found something in his brain, in his temporal lobe. They weren't sure if it was cancer or necrosis, which can happen from the radiation treatments because it was so close to his brain. So they ran a bunch of tests. How many more scans did you have? Probably 4.
3 or 4 more.
Yeah, 4 more scans, trying to get an image on it to see which it was. They couldn't determine what it was. So we went and saw a neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
And he said that he needed to do a biopsy to determine what it was. Sorry. So that was February 1st, 2018. Yeah. We went in and had a frontotemporal craniotomy. And they removed what they could of the mass and ran tests on it. We waited a couple weeks for that to come back. And it turns out that he had radiation-induced brain necrosis. So basically, the treatment was
a side effect of the treatment.
Side effect of the treatment.
I mean, in February of 2018, the doctor said, we give you approximately anywhere from a year to 5 years until what spreads in my brain and continues with that necrosis that will pass. So just trying to make the best of what we can, especially with our kids. I mean, Isabel, our youngest daughter, just graduated from high school, and now our youngest, he's going to be playing lacrosse. He just finished lacrosse for American Fork as a freshman in the varsity team. So just doing the best that we can, with our circumstances.
Trying to make a lot of memories.
Yeah. One thing that the doctor has suggested in 2018 is that we start making memories now, and not waiting. So Hunter, he was blessed enough to be called on his mission to Honolulu, Hawaii. And all right, Hawaii. Sorry. Thanks. And he was going to be finished in about August of 2018, but the doctor said, don't wait until then, you should go now. And so, you know, we were blessed enough to have some friends help us and be able to go back home to Hawaii one last time in March of 2018. And it was great, especially because McKay and Isabel, I mean, they were babies and toddlers when they went, so it had been a long time. So it was great to share with them the island, the Ainam, and be able to share with them part of me, who I am. And it was great because as a kid, you know, till I was 10, we lived in Honolulu, and we would go to the country, so you know, North Shore side, as a kid, and go to our family beach house. And so it was great. We were able to stay at the family beach house during that time, and just standing there, you know, in the back, listening to the ocean, and it was very therapeutic for me, just to be back home. You know, being around family, visiting with them, and being around with my family too. So, yeah, just making the most of what we can here.